I love Netflix. Netflix is just great, but sometimes you just have to scroll through thousands of titles to find the one that you like. There have been instances where I've scrolled for 30 minutes to 45 minutes just trying to find the one movie that I would love to watch. So I put together a list of 3 films. These films are warm, life-affirming and feel-good films. So they specifically fall into this category. So I put together a list of 3 films. I've watched these films multiple times over. These are some of my favorite films and they have amazing characters which you will remember for a long time after you watch the movie. But before I list the 3 movies, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would request you to subscribe to my channel. I post 2 videos every week on personal growth and insights from books and films. The first movie is The Terminal. It has Tom Hanks in the lead. What would you do if you were to live in an airport for a few months and you had not much money to spare? Well, that's what happens to Victor Navorsky. He is a traveler from an Eastern European nation. It's a fictitious nation called Krakozia. He travels to USA and lands at the John F. Kennedy International Airport at New York. But even while he's traveling, there is a political situation in his country which leads to a civil war, and hence USA no more recognizes Krakozia as an independent nation, and hence his passport is not valid. And because of this, Victor is not able to get through the immigration, and he is also not able to go back to his home country because of the political situation. There are no more flights going back to Krakozia. So Victor Navorsky is stranded at an airport. The movie is completely about how he spends his time at the airport. He makes friends with janitors, the security people, the food service people. And what is appreciable in his character is the indomitable spirit. Despite his misfortune, there is not an ounce of bitterness in him. Stanley Tucci plays an antagonist in the role of assistant field commissioner, and there are some hilarious, heartwarming sequences in the film. Large, busy airports are fascinating for people watching. This movie, except for a couple of scenes, is entirely set in an airport. Every time I'm waiting at an airport, what comes to my mind is The Terminal. And I'm sure if you watch the movie, that's going to be the same case with you too. The second movie is Before Sunrise. This movie is about just one day between 2 strangers, Jesse and Celine, who meet on a train. Jesse is played by Ethan Hawke and Celine is played by Julie Delpy. Jesse is an American and he's been traveling around Europe for the last couple of weeks. His flight to US is the next day and it goes from Vienna. So he's traveling to Vienna, and Celine is traveling back to her hometown of Paris. But Jesse somehow convinces Celine to hop off at Vienna so that they could spend the day together. And since they hit off a conversation in the train, Celine accepts to hop off with Jesse to roam around Vienna and spend some time together. So they are completely strangers, but they end up roaming the streets of Vienna. They roam around the city, visiting the city's landmarks, playing ping pong in a pub, and walking through a street fair. And while they do this, they have meaningful conversation on a range of topics from love, God, religion, feminism, and life itself. There are some beautiful little moments. I watched this movie for the first time when I was about 17 or 18 years old, and it left an indelible mark on me. It forever set a benchmark of romance. So please do watch the movie. It has very minimal characters, just these 2 main characters, and they walk around the beautiful city of Vienna having wonderful and meaningful conversations. I'm sure you'll enjoy it and remember it for a long time to come. The third movie is Julie and Julia. If you're a foodie, you're going to love this movie. Julie Powell, the film's protagonist, is bored by her day job, but she loves to cook, so she begins a personal project of cooking through Julia Child's Mastering the Art of French Cooking. She cooks every day for 365 days. She cooks the recipes from the book and blogs about it. Julia Child was a cooking teacher, and she was a television personality to come up with first kind of a cooking instruction show on TV back in 1960s. So we not only see Julie Powell's story here, we also see Julia Child's story. So there are 2 parallel stories set across decades. We also see the story of Julia Child when she herself was just falling in love with cooking, and then she writes the book back in France where she's living with her husband in the probably 1950s, I guess. This movie is based on a true story. In fact, two true stories. One is Julie Powell, who cooks and blogs about it, and the second is, of course, Julia Child, who's also a real character. I love the character of Julie Child in the movie. It's played by Meryl Streep, and it's one of my most favorite characters in movies. She's so positive, and her attitude towards learning and not considering failure as barrier to progress, I think is just amazing, and her enthusiasm is just very infectious. Stanley Tucci is also in this movie. He plays the character of husband of Julia Child in the movie. Do watch the movie, it's on Netflix. Given the pandemic and the lockdown, the movie might inspire you to cook more, or it might even inspire you to take up a personal project of yours which you have been meaning to get to for a long time. So those were the three movies: The Terminal, Before Sunrise, and Julie and Julia. If you have watched any of these movies, or if any of these movies are your favorites, please do let me know in the comment section below. Or if you have any other movie recommendation from Netflix India that's in the genre of warm, life-affirming and feel-good category, please do recommend to me in the comment section below. Give me a thumbs up if you found the recommendations interesting. Goodbye and happy watching movies.